Hi everyone, this is Brian with Cardinal Pens and Paper, and today we're going to take a look at how to fill and clean a vintage Parker Vacumatic. Today we're going to take a look at the different Vacumatic filling systems. Now this was a filling system devised by Parker, and they come in four main forms. So we're going to take a look at them, and the four different types that we have today. We have the lockdown, we have the speedline, we have a standard Vacumatic filling system, the regular kind, I guess you could call it. And then we also have a Vacumatic filling system incorporated into the Parker 51. If you're interested in Parker 51s, we do have another video that shows all the other filling system, the aerometric as well. But for the purposes of this, we're only going to talk about the Vacumatic filling 51 and the three other variants. The lockdown is easy to identify because it has a very, very short blind cap. And so you unscrew this, and the first thing you notice is there's this little peg here. So to activate the lockdown, you push in and rotate counterclockwise, and then this pops out. We're going to leave this open just for a second. We're going to compare it to the speedline. This is a much later dual fold, so it's got the stripes going in the other direction, but this came in button filling and different Vacumatic filling systems. So you'll notice in this case, the blind cap is much longer. If we take that off, we see a very similar filling system to what we have here. In fact, pretty close in length, made out of aluminum. But this one doesn't lock down. It's full length, right away, ready to go. Okay, and you'll see why that's important in just a little bit. Next up, this is the kind of the standard, the de facto standard. They had this type for quite a while, and you'll see it's a plastic. In this case, it's kind of a yellowish hue plunger rod. And these also you can also find these in black and in like an amber color as well. But it differs from the lockdown and the speedline in that it's not aluminum. So those are the three different kinds. The 51 will have this same style of Vacumatic filling unit. So, and interesting to note, this filling unit is interchangeable with this filling unit. So if you were fixing and repairing pens and you needed a filling unit, you can take a filling unit out of a 51 and put it in a regular Vacumatic and vice versa, and actually are swappable into a speedline body, but not a lockdown, because this, in order to put the blind cap on, has to be pressed in and locked down. Okay, so we're going to start with the lockdown Vacumatic, and I'm just going to push this back in. They can be difficult to engage sometimes, but the end will have this little knurled edge here, which helps to get it kind of in place. So when you get these, you definitely, they take a little getting used to. So push in and rotate counterclockwise to extend. Now, you will notice this here. You see how this is kind of notched out? What can happen is if this little edge right here gets worn, it prevents this unit from actually locking in place. So if you find a lockdown in the wild and you unscrew the blind cap and then this pops out right away, look there to see if there's wear, if it's rounded off and not, you see how it's kind of like a square here, it's sharp. That's the cause. Unfortunately, the only option is to really replace the unit. But filling these are all roughly the same. The lockdown is a little bit different, and so we're gonna put this in. And I always use Waterman ink, particularly with vintage pens. We've got our Waterman Intense Black, which is one of my favorites. Reason being, they're very easy to clean out. They're very safe on the pens. They're very safe on all the latex internal sacks and diaphragms. And they're just easy to use. Save your fancy colors and your shimmer inks for your other modern cartridge converter pens. because especially with Vacumatics, they can be a challenge to get extremely clean. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into ink, just as we are with any other vintage pen. We want to fill this into ink all the way up to and including a little part of this, what we call the section, or some people call the grip section, because we don't want to suck any air up when we are filling the pen. So I'm going to put this in, and then I'm going to push with a slight pause in between, and you can hear the bubbles coming out of the pen. So we're displacing the air inside the pen with ink. And about 8 or 9 times, and then I stop hearing that, which means the pen is mostly full. So on the last press, what you have to do is press down and then rotate and lock that into place. And do that while you have the nib in ink. Other words, if you pull it out and then do that, you are going to expel a ton of ink. And so now we can do that, and then I have my towel here. Now the lockdowns were the very earliest of the Vacumatic filling system, so you only find them on the very earlier pens. All right, so to empty, now when you do this, you want to make sure if you have the pen remotely full, you want to hold it over the ink. So I'm going to hold it over the ink because I have to push down, and then the filling unit will come up. And then sometimes you will get a filling unit that will expel all the ink with relatively few pushes. Sometimes what you have to do is you have to push it very slowly to get it out drop by drop. And since these pens fill directly into the barrel, they hold a lot of ink. And when you start seeing the bubbles come out like at the top, we've got pretty much most of the ink out. Now I'm going to leave this open just for a second. Same thing when you're cleaning the pen. Essentially, you're going to fill the pen with water, and you can see the bubbles come out, and that's the air that's still in the pen. And you notice they get smaller and smaller until we no longer really have any air coming out of the pen at all, which means the pen is fairly full. Now, we'll see on the black one, Vacumatics were originally designed so you can actually see through the barrel. They're transparent, so you can see the level of your ink. Most of the Vacumatics you're going to run into these days are ambered at some point, and you really can't see much of anything at all. Again, sometimes you can press this once and it'll all come out in a stream, but it is not unusual for you to have to press really very slowly and get it out drop by drop. And this is another reason you don't want to change inks often or have to clean it very often. So I've got that locked into place. So using vintage friendly inks like Waterman are really helpful in your maintenance. And you can go 2, 3, 4 fills without having to worry about cleaning the pen. So there's your lockdown. The speedline simplifies things a little bit. We don't have that messy lockdown to worry about. We've got the longer blind cap. We still have the nice aluminum filler, which repairmen like, because the diaphragm that sits inside the sac to create the ink to come out, it sits inside the aluminum cup inside the pen, and it doesn't break like some of the later ones do. So this is going to be the same kind of thing. We put it in up to the section, and what you want to try to think is you don't want to press real slow. You want to think the time it takes you to say the word 1. pause at the top, press again. You don't want to do it too fast or too slow. Now on this one, since it doesn't lock down, when we're done, we can literally just pull it out. I kind of wipe it against the edge of the glass. Again, wipe it off with our towel. That's the speed line. To flush the speed line, then, as before, now we just press, and this one is going to come out one at a time. And that is not uncommon. And if it comes out that way on your pen, then the best method is to press very slowly. Because the slower you press, it seems counterintuitive, the slower you press, the better it will empty. Got a fresh cup of water here. There, that came out in a nice stream. All right, so that is the speed line. Next up, we have basically your standard Vacumatic. Now you can see as I rotate this, you can see the transparency. In fact, you can see the diaphragm. There's the latex diaphragm right there. Let's take the cap off. And this is very close to how it would have been originally from the factory. This kind of level of transparency. When I press on this, you can see how the diaphragm moves. And you can, when we fill this, we'll be able to see, and there's the breather tube right there. We'll be able to see the level of ink inside the pen. So this is going to fill exactly the same as the speed line. We're going to put it in, again, up to the section. And we don't need to do anything special with it when we pull it out. Just make sure to wipe off the nib and make sure to get the edge of your section there. But now we can see, we can't really see through the pen much anymore. You can see a little bit right here. And as we write this down, we should be able to see a little bit easier the level of ink. So to expel, it'll be the same thing. You will often find that you may have to do this very slowly to get it out drop by drop. Parker actually devised a cleaning tool specifically for these pens to help get them clean quickly. You could take it to your dealer and have them clean your pen to clean out your pen, but I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to fill it. And we got most of it out with one squirt. And you can kind of start to see a little bit of the transparency coming back. So I haven't cleaned it. It's not perfectly cleaned, but you can start to see it. All right, last up is a variation of this. Uses the same filling system as the Parker 51. This is the 51 with the Vacumatic. So we refer to it commonly as the 51 Vac. So same filling system as the previous pen, and filling it is basically the same with one minor adjustment. Put it in, now in this case, we only really have to fill it up to and including this little opening here. So it doesn't need to go in all the way. And again, this pen fills directly into the barrel, just like the other Vacumatics do, so it holds a ton of ink. Now, on the 51, much like the lockdown, on the last depression, once you have stopped seeing bubbles come out, or you stop hearing them come out, on the last depression of the plunger here, you're going to keep it down and pull it out, and then release the back of the filling unit. And the reason we do that is because on the inside of the 51, under the hood, is essentially a 360 degree feed we call the collector. That becomes saturated with ink when we fill it, and when we release the filling unit, the plunger here, as we pull it out, it sucks any excess ink in the collector into the barrel. And so if we don't do that, if you forget to do it and you pull it out and you just go, okay, we're going to do this, screw this back on, what's likely to happen is you will eventually get a blob of ink on your page. So on your last stroke, keeping it pressed down and pulling it out, that will eliminate the possibility of that happening. Cleaning it, same as all the others. And sometimes because of the collector, it does require very long, slow depressions, drop by drop. Again, a reason you don't want to change your ink very frequently, because this is a long, slow process to get all the ink out. Now, unlike the rest of the Vacumatics, there is no transparency to the barrel, so you really can't tell how full it is or isn't. But if you want to clean this completely, you're just going to sit here and you're going to fill it with water and slowly expel it drop by drop. And again, one of the reasons why Parker made a special tool just to clean these pens. So if you stick with one color of ink on your Vacumatics, it will be a much better and easier for you than changing inks constantly. So to recap, you've got your lockdown, easy to see, short blind cap, and not much of your filling unit sticking out. Your speedline, aluminum filling unit, but it's fully extended with a long blind cap. And then what you'll find on most of your single jewel Vacumatics, your plastic filling unit, and this can be clear, an amber color, or it can even be black, which they did during the wartime era. And this will be the same filling unit you see on your first generation of Parker 51s will be the Vacumatic filling unit. So there you have it, the 4 different versions of your Parker Vacumatic. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.